Hey everybody, David here, and today I'm going to be doing my DC superhero TV podcast where I talk about all the superhero TV shows that I watch, whether it's Marvel or DC. Mostly DC because those are the shows, I guess, the Arrowverse mostly is what I watch the most on television. I'm not watching The Gifted, unfortunately. I know that's on right now too. Unfortunately, I fell off on that one. I seen season 1. I just didn't care when season 2 was coming back, and I figured that was a sign that I wasn't really that interested in that show. I did see Legion season 1. Do those count even as Marvel shows? I guess they do, right? Even though Fox is the one, or they're more like part of the X-Men universe, which is part of Fox right now, which is weird. I should be watching The Runaways because it sounds like it has a really cool concept that maybe I would enjoy a lot, but I just haven't gotten around to it yet. So right now it's a lot of DC stuff, and unfortunately the way Netflix is killing off its shows, that's going to leave me with less Marvel shows to talk about. At least we got The Punisher and Jessica Jones to look forward to. Hopefully Jessica Jones season 2 is a lot better than, season 3 is a lot better than season 2. I love season 1 of Jessica Jones. Unfortunately, it seems like Netflix is canceling everything. Daredevil was one of its highest rated shows, and they canceled Daredevil. What the fuck? Runaways, Runaways I want to check out. I know Cloak and Dagger, a lot of people have been saying it's pretty good too. Titans I haven't even seen yet. That one comes out January 11th on Netflix International, so people like me who live in Canada will finally get to see it then. But unfortunately, if you're not a fan of the Arrowverse shows or any of the shows on the CW, because Black Lightning is included as well, and currently not connected to the Arrowverse, maybe until next year, who knows. I'm sorry, but hey, they're superhero shows, and for someone like me who loves most of it, I like to talk about this stuff. So let's get right into it, starting with Black Lightning. That's right, we're on season 2, episode 8. The description on IMDb says, Jennifer's disappearance roils the Pierce family. The family discusses the best way to find her. Lynn asks Detective Henderson to arrest Khalil after she learns Jennifer is with him. So yeah, we get a lot of Pierce, Jefferson Pierce running around looking for Jennifer and Khalil. There was even that one moment where he mistakes a couple for being them because of the hair. Khalil, by the way, gets a haircut in this episode. Now remember, I'm always a week behind from the cable, so I haven't got into the mid-season finale yet. That will hopefully be this week. So we're gonna have a Black Lightning show next week. It's only going to be Black Lightning because the other DC shows for me are done this week, because I can get them on iTunes on time. I wish Netflix would just be what they do with The Flash, because Flash is also on Netflix, and I've been watching them. They post them up 2 days after the new episode airs. Why don't they just do the same thing with Black Lightning? Why does Black Lightning have to be a week behind? It's some sort of contract there for sure. But anyways, look, I really enjoyed this episode from Black Lightning. Just as I have all season long, they're nothing spectacular for me. I'm not on the edge of my seat on every episode or super excited on what's gonna happen next, but I enjoy it. I really like it. I think it's a cool show. And, I go on IMDb, and I'm one of the people that give ratings. And so far, I've been giving each episode an 8 out of 10. I think they're solid episodes. Nothing spectacular, but solid. What I'm confused about is how come all of the episodes on IMDb are rated really low scores. The episode I'm talking about right now has a 5.6 out of 10 on IMDb. Who's giving these episodes so low scores, because look, I'm not gonna say it's my favorite DC TV show on right now, but I'm not gonna say it's the worst. I think Black Lightning is more entertaining than The Gifted. If I wasn't entertained by Black Lightning, I would have given up on it like I did with The Gifted, or Legion. You know, I liked Legion season 1 a lot. I should go with season 2, but I heard things about season 2, so I decided, it's not worth checking out then. But yeah, Black Lightning, I don't know why the episodes, I've seen a couple of the episodes having really low scores, like a 5.6, and I'm thinking, who are, I hope it's not a racist thing, and I hope people are actually voting on how they feel. I mean, if people were disappointed with this season, then fine, but I've heard a lot of other people talking very highly about Black Lightning, so even I'm like confused, like, come on guys, 5.6? Who's giving these episodes low scores like this? I don't know. I want to hear people's opinions on Black Lightning, because maybe there are people out there that are disappointed with this season, that they think it should be better. So, I don't know. Is it because it's not connected to the Arrowverse? I hope that's not the reason. I don't think every show needs to be connected to each other. For myself, I really think it's cool when they do. But if they don't want to, I'm not going to judge a show. Oh, well, I hate this show now because it doesn't want to connect itself to the rest of the CW shows. No, I think we should judge it on its own merits. And look, I like a lot of the characters on Black Lightning. Jefferson is a great character. Jennifer and Anissa and Lynn and Gamby and what's the villain's name? Tobias Whale. He's a good villain too. I think he's pretty good, like the mafia boss type guy. Yeah, so I think it's a good show. I don't understand why the low ratings on IMDb, and I know IMDb we shouldn't take too seriously when it comes to ratings, but when you compare movies or shows, their final ratings to an actual to other shows, you can kind of see, okay, yeah, when you see like best to worst, you can see like, yeah, the most favorites, the ones that people talk about the most, are the ones with the highest rankings, and the ones that are really low are the ones with the lowest rankings. But I see Black Lightning's score in IMDb, and even its overall score, the overall series score, it's a low score. It's like in the 6s, and I've heard people talk pretty highly about Black Lightning, so I don't get the scores on IMDb. I think that's there must be something going on there. With that being said, yes, this episode was a really good episode. I don't know about Khalil turning good. There was a part of me that wanted to see him get redeemed, and I kind of feel sorry for him once in a while. But at other times, I'm like, I don't know about this Khalil guy. Maybe he should get bitch slapped first, and then we can forgive him. But maybe Jefferson will teach him a lesson. We'll see. With that being said, let's move on to Legends of Tomorrow. After Constantine breaks the cardinal rule, he, Charlie, and Zari try to deal with the ramifications without telling anyone else. The episode was Season 4, Episode 8, Legends of To-Meow-Meow. This was one of the most insane episodes of Legends of Tomorrow, and I'll tell you guys what, I loved it. Legends of Tomorrow, I think it clearly, ever since Season 2, I think the show realized what it needs to be, and not to take itself too seriously, and just have fun with the craziness. I used to call Season 1, it was like Star Trek meets Doctor Who, because of the time travel aspect, and Star Trek because Star Trek can be a little boring at times. It takes itself a little bit too seriously. Not the original series. The original series seemed a little bit more campier. This one, nowadays I call Legends of Tomorrow, it's Guardians of the Galaxy meets Doctor Who. I keep Doctor Who in there still, even though I haven't watched too much Doctor Who. It's mostly because of the time travel aspect. But Guardians of the Galaxy, definitely, because you have these group of heroes that should not work together. That seems so different and so weird, and putting them in a show together just seems odd. especially when, you look at Sarah and you look at Ray, two totally different characters, but they managed to make them work. Like Sarah from season 2 of Arrow was a complete badass. Katie Lotz, I remember people wanted her to be the real Black Canary for that show. And when she was killed off in favor of Laurel, people were upset. But I think the writers knew that, so they brought Sarah back because she was a fan favorite and put her on this show where she's now the White Canary, even though they don't use their superhero personas too much. She is the White Canary, and she's still badass, but they balance her with this lighter tone, which really works, I think, for her character, and all the other characters, too, I think, for that matter. Like, Mick was a villain back in The Flash, season 1, and now he's one of the most lovable characters, I think, on this show. He's an asshole, but he's a lovable asshole, which is a difficult balance to like, bring out in a character. And this episode just goes all out, seeing the characters in these different stages, like what would have happened if Sarah died during the unicorn episode, or what would have happened if Mick died or if he got married with, or teamed up with the fairy godmother from that episode. And seeing the changes in the characters' relationships, it had me thinking, come on, it changed that much because of something little like that. Made me laugh because I knew they weren't taking the episode seriously at all. They were just having fun with it. And I hope people like don't say, "Oh, this is a sign of bad writing because the characters were inconsistent." I think that was the point. The most hysterical thing, I think, from this episode was the puppets. When, like, why did all of the crew turn into puppets? There were only 3 crew members, I think, that were turned into puppets, but it was hilarious. I loved it. I love seeing Constantine teaming up with, I was gonna call her Amaya, Charlie. Charlie, who I guess likes the look of Amaya. And Zari was a cat throughout most of the episode too. That was really funny. Yeah, it was a great episode. And then obviously they find the time and place where they had to go and fix things. But even though Charlie realized that she was a big part of the timeline as well now, again, it seems like they're just keeping the actress of Amaya, and this is their way of keeping her by making her play a new character named Charlie, who has a superpower. Yeah, that's cool, but it's like, why couldn't you just keep her as the actress who originally played Charlie? This is just your cheap way of keeping that character. And fine. I mean, I like the actress who played Amaya and now playing Charlie. Because, number one, I think she's a really beautiful actress, and she's pretty good. I like her as an actress, too. So, I like her character, both characters that she played. She's not, I prefer Amaya a little bit more, but I understand why they can't use her, because the timeline and the decade that she was in, which is kind of why I wish they just had recasted the original Vixen that we knew from Arrow, and just had her play Vixen from present day. I don't know why they didn't just do that. I know the Arrowverse likes to cast actors, but not recast them down the road. They like to have that actor as that character and always be remembered as that character. But I think when you can't get a certain actor back, which we haven't seen that actress since that Arrow episode, and I know she's done the voice of Vixen in the animated show, but look, if you can't get her back, then you might as well recast her. So that's my opinion on the matter. A scene that I really liked in this week's Legends of Tomorrow is it was early on in the episode, and Gideon tells them, you got missed calls from Barry Allen, Oliver Queen, and Kara Danvers. And Ray goes, oh, it must be this year's crossover. The annual crossover is going on, so they ignore the calls. And it was hilarious because that's what was going on the other 3 Arrowverse shows, which we're going to talk about now. They were having the annual crossover with Elseworlds, one of my most anticipated Actually, I think the crossover events are always my most anticipated ever since they started referring to them as events after the first Arrow and Flash crossover back during Flash Season 1. So every year, I'm always looking forward to these things. And every year, I'm listening or reading the headlines on what they're planning and what were they going to do. So when we get to this Elseworlds, this 3-part crossover with Arrow, Flash, and Supergirl, and knowing that Superman was going to be a part of it, and Batwoman and Gotham, I'm like, okay, I'm ready for this. So part 1, part 2, and part 3, I'm gonna say this. This crossover was not my ultimate favorite. I'm gonna do a ranking this week to let you guys know what were my favorite Arrowverse crossover events. Just the events. I'm not gonna count the little crossovers, like not that future Arrow one that was on Legends back in Season 1. I'm not gonna count the Constantine episode from Arrow as well, or the Vixen episode, or episodes like that. I'm not going to count, or the Flash and Supergirl team up that they first had, or the duet episode. Just the event episodes that they always have in November, December. This episode was not my favorite, and I'll tell you why after I talk about each episode. First, let's get to part 1. Part 1. You know, we have Arrow and Flash. They switch bodies, or they look like how we know them to look, but everybody else sees them as the other. So people see Oliver Queen and they think he's Barry Allen. People see Barry Allen and they think he's Oliver Queen. They've switched lives. They don't know how, but we see that there's a villain that has alternate, you know, they screwed up time and made them that way using a book that was very powerful, that was given to him by the Monitor. The Monitor being this ultimate god type character. So obviously Oliver and Barry decide to go to Earth 38 to get Supergirl's help to see if she can recognize them, and she does. Superman and Lois are in this episode, and part 1 I thought was a really nice start to the crossover event. It set things up. It was really cool to see Superman there. I was kind of disappointed that Superman and Lois decided to go back to Earth 38, though, by the end of it, or at least Superman did. I think Lois stayed on Earth 38. I thought a lot of the stuff with Barry and Oliver was really funny. There was some really funny moments. I really loved the Smallville theme song being thrown in there. That was really cool as someone who was an old school Smallville fan. And the fact that they used the farm, which a lot of people were already aware of when behind the scenes photos were being taken. But the Smallville theme just added to it and put a big smile on my face. I thought it was a really great start to the crossover. We get a little tease of Batwoman, which leads us into part 2, and part 2 takes primarily in Gotham. Again, we get a lot of the Oliver and Barry, they're switched, and we see them trying to struggle using each other's abilities. This is where John Wesley Shipp plays into the episode a little bit more. We get him teased in part 1. Part 2, he starts to slide in there a little bit more. Plays a little bit of a heavy factor into the crossover, which I really liked, because what was cool about that was that he wasn't playing Jay Garrick or Henry Allen. He was playing Barry Allen. He even confirms it. I'm Barry Allen from Earth 90, which now confirms that the Flash TV show from the 90s is now part of the Arrowverse. It's on another Earth, but this now opens the possibilities to what they could do down the road, which I'll get to very soon. I thought all the stuff in Gotham was a lot of fun. All the references and ideas of what happened to Bruce Wayne and Batman, the disappearance of all of that, how they factored Batman into this universe by saying that he was in the shadows a lot of the time, and so he's an urban legend kind of deal. I don't know if Kate Kane is the cousin of Batman in the comics. I have a feeling she's not. But the way they said that she's Bruce Wayne's cousin kind of had me wondering, is this just to get her to be the opposite of Supergirl? I don't know. I'm fine with it, though. Like, if that's maybe their cousins, just to, I don't know, keep it close together. I don't know. We'll see when her show starts. Maybe they can clarify more on that. Maybe they're not really related, but they just refer to each other as cousins. Who knows? I thought Ruby Rose as Batwoman and Kate Kane was really cool. I really liked her. I thought, I can't wait to see her own show go solo. I just kind of wish she was more factored into the crossover. I thought she was going to appear in Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3. And she was really more heavily into Part 2. And then Part 1 was just a little glimpse of her. And Part 3, she only had a very small cameo. I did like the way Gotham City was factored into Part 2. That was fine. I didn't mind if Gotham City was just in that. I just thought she would be more useful in the entire crossover. But I guess this was just to set her up for her own series. So, fine. That's okay. And maybe we'll get her in the next crossover to help out a little bit more. We'll see. Yeah, I did like all the Easter eggs, obviously. And then we get another little switch that sets up Part 3, where Barry and Oliver, I don't know if they had their powers back, but they were like these bandits, the Twin Bandits or something like that, the Wonder Bandits. I don't know what they were called. But they looked like punks. I'm sure it was some reference to the comic that I went over my head, because I'm not as comic knowledgeable as other people. Part 3, we see Barry and Oliver struggling a lot. Kara's captured. The villain of the episode, who is I forgot the character's name, turns into Superman. So we got an evil Superman in the form of that character. And a lot of shit goes down. Oliver makes a deal with the Monitor because Barry and Kara are about to sacrifice themselves. We don't know what that deal is, because it's a huge setup for something for next year. Crisis on Infinite Earths. What? The Monitor, not the Monitor, but eventually Superman the real Superman helps to restore everything back to normal, as, because the villain of the episode is screwing shit up and things are going haywire. Things are changing, lights are turning on and off, and wind is blowing, and craziness ensues, and then finally everything is set back to normal. The villain turns into something else. There's some setups for another villain to come back next year, because Part 3 was practically a promotion. What other people are saying, it's practically a trail. It's practically an advertisement. A 3-episode advertisement for something bigger for next year. So let me get into this. This is why I think I don't think that's the entire reason for me why this crossover didn't work. I felt that the episode wasn't as consistent as Crisis on Earth X or Legends of Today, Legends of Yesterday. I thought those two crossovers felt a little bit more consistent. This crossover to me felt like Invasion but a little bit better than Invasion. I felt that it was, you can feel that, okay, the Flash episode definitely was a Flash episode. The Arrow episode was an Arrow episode. And the Supergirl episode was a Supergirl episode, even though it didn't really utilize her characters properly, except for Alex, which I thought was a bummer because, again, I wanted to see the Supergirl characters. I feel like whenever we get into these crossovers with Supergirl nowadays, her characters are always sidelined, like Martian Manhunter and who's the other one that came at the very end? Was it Alex? It wasn't Alex. It was someone else. Brainy. Brainy 5. They showed up at the very end of the episode, just randomly. Hey, we're here to help at the last minute. Lois has a badass moment, but that was about it. Jimmy had a small little cameo because he was part of this alternate timeline, which I guess confirms that Jimmy and Alex have doppelgangers on Earth 1. It confirms that. I was always wondering about that, and now we get our confirmation on that. Something that was cool also was in part 2 of Elseworlds, we got confirmation that Batman is also on both Earths. Because Kara also confirms that, her cousin is friends with Batman on her Earth, or frenemies, as she puts it. Crisis on Earth, on Infinite Earths, that's the crossover to really look forward to. And when I was talking about John Wesley Shipp before, it's because that now opens the door for any DC TV show or movie to now be connected to the Arrowverse, if they really want to. That's what the John Wesley Shipp playing Barry Allen on Earth 90 now opens the door to. So now we can look at the possibilities of what other shows and movies do we want to connect. They're obviously going to have to look for actors that are affordable. So you're not going to see Michael Keaton or Christian Bale or Henry Cavill on on this show. They're gonna find actors that are willing to make a guest spot. They're probably even gonna look at their own actors that they've already have established relationships with. Dean Cain, maybe Linda Carter if they can use Wonder Woman. Maybe Helen Slater can return as Supergirl. Tom Welling and Michael Rosenbaum have been pretty good buddies with Stephen Amell recently. Maybe we could see Tom Welling finally return. Laura Vandervoort, she guest starred on the first season of Supergirl. Maybe she'd be willing to return. Erika Durance, Terry Hatcher, Dean Cain. I said Dean Cain already, but you get the point. Like, we could, even if you want, Brandon Routh is there. That could be your movie Superman returning. I would love it if they had Brandon Routh put on the Superman suit again, because I love Superman Returns. I think it's an underrated film. And if they got Brandon Routh to put on that suit again, that would make me really happy. And giving Brandon Routh the love that he deserves, because he was a great Superman, and I think he didn't get enough. He didn't get a chance to shine more. I think if they were to do a sequel for that movie, I think they would have given him a lot more to work with. Unfortunately, what happened. So maybe the Arrowverse, the next Arrowverse crossover, if they are doing Crisis on Infinite Earths the way I think they will, I think bringing Brandon Routh back as Superman would be really cool. And you can still have the Atom there because, hey, Infinite Earths, maybe on another world, the genes of characters were different on, I know it doesn't work like that, but I think for that kind of a crossover, I think we'll allow it to happen. We'll let it be. that's the crossover I think they really want us to get it hyped up for. What is the secret that Oliver is keeping? That's something that we're going to have to figure out as well. A lot of people I've seen one person speculate that what if they are planning on killing off Oliver Queen? That is possible. I think it's definitely possible because Stephen Amell has hinted that he might not want to do this forever. And if they're already planning on doing Crisis on Infinite Earth, something that The Flash has been teasing since the show first started, maybe they don't want to wait until 2024 to do that story. Maybe they want to say, well, if Stephen's planning on leaving, maybe we should do it now. I don't know how they'll make it work, but I could see them killing off Green Arrow. If they announce that next season it will be Arrow's last season, I can see them doing like maybe, okay, we're going to do 13 episodes this season, and that 13th episode will be the crossover. Maybe it won't be 13 episodes. Maybe it will be 8 episodes. It will be the shortest season or 9 episodes. It will be the shortest season of a DC TV show to date. So I don't know. There's a lot of possibilities, guys, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do. This was a fun crossover, not my favorite crossover of all time, but they handled it pretty well. So I would give the whole crossover an 8 out of 10. Each episode 8. It was a solid 3-parter. I've seen them do better, like last year with Crisis on Earth X. I think that was the best crossover of all time. So I want you guys to comment below. Tell me your thoughts on the DC TV shows of this week. If you've seen Black Lightning, the season finale, or the mid-season finale, let me know what your thoughts were on that episode as well. It will give me something to look forward to this week. And yeah, I'll talk about Black Lightning. It's the only show this week for me, so I'll check it out. And hey, if there's any news that drops about the other DC TV shows, I'll talk about those things too. It doesn't always have to be reviews. It can be news that drops throughout the week as well. So anything like that. With that being said, guys, I'm ending this video here. It's gone half an hour, so hopefully you guys are still with me and listening to me. If not, I apologize. And if so, thank you for tuning in. And I hope you guys like this video. Please subscribe to my channel, especially if you're a huge fan of superhero television and just like to hear other people talk about it, because maybe, like me, you don't have a lot of people that have the same interests as you, so you listen to me because, hey, this guy likes what I like, so I'll listen to him and I'll talk to him about it, because I do like interacting with other fans about these shows, or sometimes hearing what other fans have to say. So with that being said, until next time, take care.